Hey guys, I don't know about you, but one of the things I really miss about gathering together physically as a church family is the opportunity that we had to serve one another in really practical ways. It could have been through the Connect team as you welcomed people to church as they walked through that front door. Maybe you're part of our kitchen team and you were one of those wonderful people who served us afternoon tea. Or maybe you're part of our platform setup team, and if that was you, I know that you're feeling so glad that you haven't had to set up a chair in the last few months. But actually, that was a great way in which we could practically care for one another and do simple things that make a significant difference in our church family. The sad thing is right now, as we gather online as a church, we just don't have those opportunities to practically serve one another. Each week, it really is about 4 to 5 people getting together to serve the whole church family. And we're so thankful for those people who are rostered on each week to do just that, as they lead us to worship God in these uncertain days. But the reality is God has not saved us into the church to be spectators, but to be servants. If you look at Ephesians chapter 4, you'll see a vision of church that's beautiful. The church is described as the body of Christ with Jesus as our head. And in this body, there are different parts and different members. And in chapter 4, the Apostle Paul tells us, you are members of one another. In other words, you belong to one another. And this body, it works best when your pastor, teachers, and leaders are preaching the word in such a way that doesn't do ministry for you, but equips you and trains you for the work of ministry to one another. We see in verse 16 how this body works, where under Christ the head, this body builds itself up in love through the proper working of each individual part. And you know what? That's you. Each individual part includes you and it includes me. In this body of Christ, we're called to serve one another. Think back to 6 Steps to Loving Your Church. Church is not about the ministry of the few, but the ministry of the pew. That's what it's all about. And so, as our church family thinks about what it looks like to step out of isolation and into the future that God has for us, we want to be thinking about ways in which we can gather, not just to watch a few, not just to spectate a few, but to serve the many, and for the many to serve each other. We want to create opportunities where we're coming together physically, not just to watch a few people present church from the front, but where there's really practical opportunities for us to care for one another. That every member ministry, where every member matters to God. But you know what? You don't have to wait until we physically regather as one whole church family on Sundays to start doing this. In fact, you can be practically serving one another even right now. Why not, for example, go for a coffee, pray, and walk with someone in our church family? Catch up with them, go for a walk together, grab a coffee, and pray together. That's a really simple, practical way in which you might serve one another. I've been so encouraged to see the number of you guys gathering in homes safely, but with others in your church, our church family, to not just join church on Sundays, but to share in a meal after church over dinner. That's been amazing to see, and keep on doing that. And also, why not think about those people in our church family who might fall through the cracks? Those who might have joined our church family since we started meeting online, or any of us who might be feeling anxious, alone, or even scared for our own health or the health of those in our church family. Why not meet up with them? Or if they're not comfortable to meet up, send them a care package, write a note of encouragement, do something practical to express the love of Christ to them. You know, in our church family, we're only ever as strong as one another. But thank God we're held together not by one another, but by the Spirit of Christ. And as God has saved us into this family, let's not be spectators of a few. Let's be servants of all.